Hi, welcome to episode 99. Last time we talked about creating your weight goal blueprint, which was helping you translate your yearly goals into specific translations of how to make small progress toward your goals week to week and day to day, given the reality of your life right now. This is the art of translating yearly goals into practical, doable steps week to week. So that's the baseline and the foundation for how to get results with whatever your weight goals are this year. Today, we're going to take a more detailed look into one of the specific principles of integrative weight management, which is how I teach sustainable weight management. I call it integrative weight management. It's based on 7 principles. I'm just going to go over them quickly for you in case you missed the first episode of 2026, where I went over them in depth. They are: listen to your body. Number 2, practice permission based eating. Number 3 is to plan and review consistently. Number 4 is to prioritize your muscles, your skeletal muscle, and your movement. Number 5 is to prioritize recovery, intentional recovery and rest. Number 6 is to prioritize sleep. And number 7 is hydration. Today, we're going to take a more detailed look at the specific about muscles and movement. So if you have my planner or you don't, you can benefit from this. If you have my planner, go into the program tab at the top and you're going to choose number 4, muscles and movement, and you can follow along with me. There are 3 ancillary worksheets besides this explanatory introduction to the importance of muscles and movement. And there's some clarification here that I want all of you to hear regarding the importance of muscles and movement. This is not just choose a movement and any of them are fine. We have to be more specific and more strategic to help you get sustainable results with your weight goals. Prioritizing muscles and movement will stack the deck in your favor, where you don't have to worry as much about rebound weight gain after you reach your goal, which is what happens with some people who don't prioritize muscles and movement. Okay, so number 4 is muscles and movement. It means that you're going to, in the course of this year, prioritize moving with purpose and pleasure. You need both. So, movement is no longer this outdated category of just burning calories in order to earn your food so you can lose fat. That does not work. Movement as a primary strategy for fat loss has a 99% failure rate. We know that triggering your body to release fat and burn fat so you can lose fat is created as a primary method by decreasing the frequency and the volume of the food intake that you eat every day. Your movement is not the magic key to fat loss, although it may positively influence fat loss if you're doing it strategically and mindfully. But movement, while it's not the primary way that we lose fat, it is one of the most powerful tools that you have, that we all have, to feel stronger, to feel more capable, and more connected to your body, in addition to major physiological health goals that you can stack the deck in your favor, that you can prevent from happening. I'm talking about bone loss, and I'm talking about sarcopenia, which is the slow decrease in skeletal muscle mass that happens after age 35 to about 40. Okay. So we have to be strategic. You have to have movement that helps you build and maintain muscle, and you need movement that helps you feel good in your body. These both matter. Again, science tells us that after the age of 35 to 40 for women, and especially postmenopausally, we will begin to lose skeletal muscle due to sharp declines in estrogen, the decrease in our hormones. And to prevent that from happening, you will need to take responsibility for and work strategically to preserve the skeletal muscle that you have, or if you want to, build more skeletal muscle if you feel like that is appropriate for you. If you do this, there are benefits. You will be able to maintain your fat loss because the more skeletal muscle you have on your body, the healthier your metabolism is. The healthier that your blood sugar regulation is, because muscles are the primary user of your blood sugar that's created after you eat, right? So if you have healthy muscle and you have a regular lifestyle of moving and lifting weights, you're going to have better blood sugar regulation in your body. Unhealthy blood sugar regulation or chronically high blood sugar leads to insulin resistance and all kinds of other problems that can also interfere with fat loss and your health in general. We definitely want to avoid that. And building muscle and or retaining the muscle that you have is a great way to do that. Having adequate skeletal muscle on your body will trigger your body to retain or even build bone density as you age, instead of what we tend to see is if you don't strength train, and especially if you're only doing cardio, right? You will lose bone density because you are not building that muscle. The muscle, skeletal muscle, that is provoked when you lift heavy weights also provokes your body or triggers your body to retain the strength of your bones. They are intimately related. Also, when you build strength by increasing or at least protecting the muscle that you have as you age, will give you more confidence and independence because you can lift heavy shit. You can push heavy shit. You can pull heavy shit. You can do things that functionally we need to do as human beings. We need to lift, push, and pull as a vital, active human beings. You don't want to have to depend on other people to, pick things up off the floor or lift your groceries or put things in the back of your car for you. Muscle, preserving it and building it is your secret weapon for positive body recomposition and lifelong vitality, just in general. So this is like the new way of thinking about not just losing fat, but gaining better overall experience of a healthy lifestyle, even in midlife. It doesn't have to mean that you become weak, you become weak in your bones, that you start to lose the ability to become a functioning member of society and do the things that you need to do in your human life. We have to fight to keep the muscle that we have when we no longer have the amount of hormones that we used to have when we had periods. Okay. This is just the truth of it. So, to do this requires a few things. This is where you need to take notes, pause the podcast if you need to, if you don't have the planner. If you do have the planner, bookmark this and highlight some things that you know that you need to start incorporating into your follow through and your habits for the year. Number one is to eat a minimum of 90 grams of dietary protein daily. You have to literally feed your muscles in order to keep your muscles or grow your muscles. And you have to have all 26 amino acids that ideally come from animal protein. So the easiest way to do this is to try to aim to get 30 grams of dietary protein per meal. Dietary protein should, again, contain complete amino acids. If you eat animals, if you don't eat animals, you're going to have to Think a little bit more about combining different plant-based combinations in order to get all of your 26 amino acids. Your body needs all of them in order to build new muscle. And there's some supplements that you can look into taking if that's hard for you to do if you're a vegan or vegetarian. It is possible, but it will require a little bit more thought and effort on your part. Okay, number two, you're going to need to strength train using something called progressive overload. We'll talk more about that in a second. A minimum of 2 times weekly in general to maintain your current level of skeletal muscle mass. And you will be working all of the major muscle groups in your body. You have to hit all of them, right? This increases to This increases to 3 times weekly if you want to build new skeletal muscle or increase the amount of skeletal muscle that you have on your body. And number three, you're going to need to strategically fuel yourself both before and after you strength train to support recovery. So this means a body that's fueled will be able to retain muscle and or build muscle, and a body that has intentional recovery after you strength train, where you're also getting your dietary protein in and you are resting your muscles, will be able to retain its muscle, the current levels of muscle, and or build muscle. Okay, so strategic fueling has to come in here. And you know, I talk so often about losing fat and waiting for hunger. This would be the exception to this. So before you strength train, you need to eat. I don't care if you're hungry or not, especially if you are postmenopausal, okay? Because you have something called kiss peptide neurons that really become active after menopause that are monitoring the situation to see if you are fueled before you perform. If you are not fueled before you perform, these peptide neurons can decrease your metabolism, increase your hunger, and decrease your satiety and interrupt positive body composition that you are trying to do by your strength training. So you have to fuel yourself before you ask yourself to perform and lift heavy shit. Okay. It doesn't mean a big meal. And yes, I know many of you are not hungry before you work out. If you don't eat, you're literally spitting into the wind if you're trying to retain your muscle and or build muscle. Your body requires fuel in order to perform. I mean, it's just that simple. You've got to get on board with this and just have 100 to 200 calories or so of some kind of food. My planner has a specific worksheet that gives you the details about exactly um, easy ways to fuel and some ideas for how to do that before you work out. So use that. Okay, we're not going to get into that here. We're just talking generally about how to move to retain your muscle, build your muscle, and how to move for the pleasure of moving. Okay. So you've got your dietary protein. You've got to work out 2 to 3 times a week, depending on what your goal is with your skeletal muscle. And you've got to strategically fuel yourself before you work out. And you've got to recover after you work out. So, a caveat here, I don't know you. I am not your medical doctor, and I am not your, strength training professional in your gym. So you need to consult these professionals in your life before you begin any kind of new exercise routine, especially if you have a chronic condition, if you're injured, or you're currently sedentary. And to be honest with you, even if you are experienced in weightlifting, in moving, I still really highly recommend you discussing your strength training goals and the importance of muscles and movement with your professional medical professionals in your life this year. Utilize them. They have a lot of medical knowledge that I don't have, and they know you as an individual with any particularities that you have. The main goal is for you to be safe. I see so many people, I hear about them getting injured because they go into it too strong and too hard, and then they injure themselves. I don't want that to be you. So remember, there's no rush with this. If you have not been lifting weights, you need to start slow with your body and give your body the time it needs to strengthen not only just your muscles, but think about your ligaments, your tendons. If you're doing dumbbell training, right? You need to build strength in your wrists just to hold those dumbbells. All of this stuff is your foundation that you need to go low and slow and consistent with and be safe. Okay. In the planner, there are three other worksheets that you can use in conjunction with this. There are strength training guidelines. Maybe I'll go over this in a future episode. There is a fueling your movement guidelines, which I've already mentioned. I want you to look at that one. And then there's a worksheet to help you plan out what your ideal weekly movement will look like. That includes both strength training and joy movement. So let's talk about the joy movement. Of course, not all your movement is going to be to build muscle. You want to also build in a menu of movement for other things like flexibility, endurance, that's cardio, right? Mental clarity, stress relief. I mean, and just the endorphins too. Like what feels good? What feels fun? What feels good because you just love doing it? This could be a walk in nature, yoga, dancing, swimming, gardening, even any form of movement that helps you reconnect with how you feel. As you build your menu of movement, I want you to notice which ones are aligned with which seasons of the year. Obviously, we're not doing gardening in the wintertime if you're in the northern hemisphere, right? So, kind of making notes of what you do at what times during the year should show you if you have any empty spots. Like if you just love doing your joy movement during the warmer months, but you don't have any joy movement during the cold months, you've got to find some other things to do that bring you that joy, that flexibility, that endurance, during the colder months. Because we want to create a lifestyle where you can find what you need from strength training movements and joy movements all year long so you have consistency and just an active lifestyle. So let's talk about Pilates and bar and even yoga. A lot of my clients, the vast majority, talk to me about strength training through doing Pilates or bar or yoga. And, don't shoot the messenger, but I need to give you the straight skinny on this. No pun intended. Um, these activities, Pilates, bar, yoga, you might feel sore after you do them, and you might really feel like you're stronger and your muscles are working. But here's the difference: soreness does not equal muscle growth if that is your goal. Like feeling the burn while you do some of these movements is not the same as creating muscle, the kind of muscle tension that your body needs to trigger preserving your muscle and or building muscle. If you think about Pilates being on, a Pilates reformer, you're doing movements, but the reformer is moving as you're doing this. So the effects of gravity and tension on your skeleton are reduced. So this is why these movements don't count as strength training. Okay. To build or maintain muscle, your body needs the resistance that's heavy enough to challenge it beyond what it's used to doing. This is what is called progressive overload. And it's backed by like decades of research in exercise science and bodybuilding, right? You have to do progressive overload to grow muscle what we call muscle hypertrophy. Pilates, bar, and yoga use body weight or very light resistance. They rely on small movements, static holds, or high reps, which is not progressive overload. And they don't increase their load over time to constantly challenge your muscles, which is what triggers muscle growth. So while I personally, I love Pilates, bar, and yoga. Many of you already know this, and these are great for posture, flexibility, mobility, but they don't provide the mechanical tension for you to preserve your muscle and or build muscle. That is traditional strength training, and that's what I recommend. Okay. So you want to strength train lifting heavy weights with enough challenge to make them adapt and grow stronger. Pilates and bar will not do that for you. So put them in the joyful movement category, not the build muscle one. Your homework is to build a catalog or a menu of strength training movements and or joyful movements, and there should be a smattering of different choices for you for every single season of your year. If you don't have a full year built out, your job this year is to find joy movement and strength training movements that you can do all year round so that you can build this essential part of sustainable weight management that's going to give you that long-term healthy lifestyle that's going to keep your results long term and well into old age. Okay, I hope that you have found some value here and some clarity about muscles and movement and how to think about working this into your habits this year that will get you some of these awesome, awesome results that we're looking for. It's not just about fat loss, it's also about building the kind of structure physiologically in your body that will help you retain these results that you're going to work so hard to create. So come and visit me on Instagram at Thrive in Midlife and let me know how you found the episode. I would love to hear from you. Stay focused and so long.